Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the webinar. Today I'm going to show you how to integrate Google Calendar and Trello, which are two platforms that a lot of people use, and how to get them fully in sync. Thanks everybody who has joined, who is taking the time to learn more about Placker today. My name is Gustavo. I'm a customer success manager at Placker, and today I'm going to show you in practice how to integrate these tools, okay? I see we have some new people joining today, some of you who already participated in the other webinars. So thanks a lot for being here today also. And well, as most of you know, Placker is a platform that has many different features, many interesting tools to use in your workflow. And one of them is exactly the Google Calendar and Trello integration, which is available for the Placker users. If you have any question at any time, feel free to send it in the chat. And if you want to see the recording later, or if you want to share this with somebody else, it will be available. All right. Well, I think we can jump right into the content. So basically, I have a Google Calendar here. I have a Trello board here. It's an example of a Trello board. And I have Google Calendar. I usually schedule all my meetings and all the appointments that I have in Google Calendar. It's a great tool to open at the end of your day in your mobile, and you know everything that you have to do, what are your main topics for the day. And most people use Trello to plan their work, their tasks, and nothing better than having them integrated so you can balance your appointments, your meetings with the tasks that you have to do in your job. Okay, so to do this, there are a few steps, but when you do it, it's quite simple and it becomes automatic. So if you are working with a Trello board, you can simply install the Google Calendar by Placker PowerUp. So you can click Add PowerUp, type Google Calendar, and install the PowerUp, and then you will have it available here. There will be a window asking you to follow a few steps to import your board and to start the Google Calendar connection. But if you don't see that, then you can also use that gear button here, that icon that takes you to the settings page. And there are basically two things that we need to connect. If you don't have your Google account integrated, then that's the first thing that we should do. So you can click your profile picture at the top right, click your profile. This will open a new page. And then in the sidebar, you will see connectors, where you can integrate your Google account. Well, your Trello account will probably be connected already because you installed the PowerUp. But if not, then you can connect your Trello account, your Google account, your Microsoft account if you want to connect Microsoft Planner instead of Trello. That also works. And okay, that's basically it. One thing to mention here is that if you have a Google Business account, there may be some permissions that you need to include. So you need to have access to enable the Google Calendar sync. So just keep that in mind. If you don't have the permissions, make sure to ask to the admin of your Google account. Okay? Well, once this is done, you can go back to the board, and now that we have Google and Calendar integrated, the next step is to integrate the board itself, so you can choose which of your Trello boards you want to go to link with a Google Calendar. And this calendar could be either your main Google Calendar, so like your main account with all your other boards, or even better, and what I recommend to do is to create a new calendar which will be specific for the Trello cards, so you can differentiate them. So you can click the plus sign next to other calendars, create a new calendar. I will call this Trello integration, but you can put like the title of your project or any other name you want to give actually. This new calendar will have its own color. So for example, I can set that every card that comes from Trello will be orange, for example. So when I add a new event in the Trello integration, it will be orange and not purple like the others. Okay. So, okay, I created the Trello integration calendar, and now I want to link this board, which could be one of my projects, with that calendar. I will click Settings, and then at the left sidebar, I will just scroll down until I see Connectors, and I will click Connect Calendar. So it could be, like I said, my main calendar or the Trello integration calendar. And then there will be a few options, so you can select if you want to create events every time you create a new card, or or if you want to create a card when you create a new event. So is it a one-way sync? Is it a two-way sync? That's up to you. Usually you would want to sync both ways so that every new event creates cards and every card creates events. Um, if you are creating events based on cards, it could be every card on the board, or it could be only the cards where you are assigned as a member. So if we're talking about a board where you have many of your teammates and everybody is planning their own tasks there, maybe you don't want to see tasks from other people showing up in your personal calendar. Then you would probably select yourself as a member. But if it's your own board and you want to see everything in your calendar, you just select all members, and then every new member, every card will create an event. And when we're talking about creating cards, when you create a new event, you need to select which list this card will be created on, because every card in Trello needs to be in a list. So I have 3 lists. I will select to do, and from there I'm going to plan my tasks. Updates. So would you like to sync all changes from cards to Google? So for example, if you change the time in a card, or if you change the description of a card, and vice versa. And if you want to delete the cards or the events, like if you archive the card, would you like to delete the event, and vice versa? So those are the options. It will also ask you if you want to import historical cards and events. So that means the cards that you already had on your board before you started the integration. Would you like to create events for those or not? So in this case, I won't, because I don't need to create events for those cards, just the cards that I create from now on. And that's it. So those are the options. You select what is best for you, and the integration is created. From now on, if I create a new card, like a new meeting, for example, so I just created a new meeting, um, it's not going to show up automatically, and that's because I don't have a date, and every event needs to have a date. So when is the new meeting going to be? It's going to be tomorrow. So tomorrow, the due date, that's the due date of the card, tomorrow at 9:45. That's the due date. And if we look at the calendar, there it is. We have a new meeting on Wednesday 28th. You may notice that we don't have a specific time for that task, right? So at what time exactly is the new meeting going to take? So that's because we added a due date, but we didn't add a start date. So it ends at 9:45. That's when I need to deliver the card, but I didn't mention exactly when it starts. So for example, if it's a meeting, it's natural that it's going to start at the same day, the 28th. So we're not going to spend 2 days in a meeting. So that's the start date. And in a few seconds, it's going to update here in my Google Calendar. It's really fast. So the new meeting starts at 8 and finishes at 9:45. Okay, but what if the meeting doesn't start at 8? It starts at 9. It's a 45-minute meeting. Well, usually you wouldn't be able to add a start time in Trello, because Trello, for some reason, they don't add a button where you can set when a card starts exactly. It's just a start date. So by default, it's going to be at 8 a.m. But uh, with the Placker Power Up, there will be a button that says start time at 8 a.m. And you can use that button to say, for example, that it will be actually at 9 or 9:15, if you want to be very specific. And yeah, so let's update the start time. It goes from 9:15 until 9:45. And it's already updated in Google. If you change something in Google, like if I click and drag to start at 9:30, in a few seconds, it will also update here in Trello so that it starts at 9:30. So that's the sync working. It also works the other way. So if you create another meeting here, so we need to, okay, other meeting, the time is at 10:30, and the calendar will be the Trello integration calendar, right? Because that's the one that we integrated. So it's going to create a card in a few seconds in my Trello board. All right. So that's mainly it. You create the cards, uh, you create the events, and everything will be in full sync. If you add a description to the card, like for example, notes to the meeting, so you can include everything that you want to have in mind when you start the meeting. You add it as a description to your Trello card, and it will be linked. So here are the notes, and you will be able to see this when you are about to start the meeting and you access the event. Okay, well, if you have any questions so far, please let me know. And meanwhile, I'm going to show you some other things. So the basic integration is this, and there are two more things that I want to show you today. One of them is if you need to make changes, or if you want to disable the integration. So you're using a new account and you don't want the integration anymore. Well, you can click settings, and we are back to the Placker settings page. So next to the calendar, the connected calendar here, you will click this button, and there will be the option to unlink. If you click this, it will disable the whole integration. You can even delete the events that were already created, and also that's also the way to make changes in the sync. So um, you can disconnect and start again, selecting a new set of preferences here if you want. So that's how you delete and how you edit the options here. Okay. So a few comments in the chat. Hey Sonia, nice to see you here again. Jason, how are the calendar integrations adjusted if we're to turn an integrated board into a template with all the new instances of that template have the same integration settings as well? Same question applies if I were to copy an integrated card of an integrated board. Okay, so it's an integrated card of an integrated board. I'm not sure, Jason, exactly what you mean with integrated board. If you can like provide me an example so I understand better your context. But basically, if we're talking about a template, it's not possible to like copy the connection between one calendar to one board to the other. So if you have another board, so I have this board Trello A and I have another board Trello B, I would have to create the integration again with this board. Okay, so you need to install the power up to each of your boards and do the procedure to install the power up again. A board connected to the Google Calendar. Yeah, so I'm not sure I fully understand the context, but basically, the connection is for one board to one calendar. If you want to have multiple boards, then you can install the power up in multiple boards, and all of them will will result in creating events in that calendar. Okay, so for example, if I want Trello B to also be there, then I would install the power up, the Google Calendar power up, and I would also make the same sync. If I want to link this to a different calendar, so for example, I have orange for Trello A, and I have another color for Trello B, then that's something you can do as well. So those are some of the options. I'm not sure if that addresses what you need to do, but if not, please let me know. A question from Sonia, how do I display Trello checklist dates on my linked Google Calendar? Okay, great question, Sonia. So basically, it's only going to integrate the cards. Okay, so if you have checklists, so for example, I have checklist A1, I have checklist A2, this will not create an event automatically. But what I can do is I can create an automation to make cards based on those checklist items, right? So if I have, for example, A1, and I want to create an event based on a checklist item, I could make a child card based on that checklist item, and that's kind of a more advanced topic. But what you can do is you can mirror, or you can convert in Trello. You can convert this to become a card, and then it will automatically go to your Google Calendar. But if you want to keep it as a checklist item and you want to have a child card at the same time, I will quickly show you how to do this. I could have a list called child cards, and I would make that item become a synced card in that list. So I could do this manually using the Placker interface. So you can also open your board here, and I could take this A1 item and move it to the child cards. So I have a child card, and because I created a child card, and of course I need to have a date, this would create an event. Or you could have an automation that would create child cards for you automatically. So here it is, A1 is here. Yeah, so you could also install the two-way card mirror sync by Placker, which would enable this rules button. And in the rules button, you could create a rule where, for example, every time that you are assigned to a checklist item, you would like to automatically, so every time I am assigned to a checklist item, this will mirror the checklist item as a card. It could be at the same board, or it could be in a separate board. By the way, you could create a separate board to only connect specific cards to the Google Calendar. And yeah, so I have this rule. And from now on, if I go ahead and assign myself to a card, this will create a child card in the child cards list. And by creating a child card in the child card list, and as long as it has a date, then it's going to show up in my calendar automatically. Okay, so yeah, that's basically how you're going to create, since you can only create events based on a card and not on a checklist item. Okay, I hope that's clear, Sonia. I think you already know well how the mirrors work, but for you that don't know exactly the concept of mirrored cards, it's like a synced copy of a card. So if you go to Trello and you just copy a card, it's going to make a card, and one will not have any sync with the other. But if you use a card mirror, then both cards, every change will reflect on the other card. And if you want to learn more about this, I invite you to access our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/placker. There you will find the recording of the webinar that we did a few months ago about card mirroring. We have videos there. Every recording uh, is available there. And we also have the Help Center, which is help.placker.com. And you can learn more about child cards. You can learn more about mirror cards. So that's how you learn more about other features that are not the topic of today's webinar. Okay, let's see what Sonia said. It's a good workaround, but would result in an awful lot of surplus cards. Have you looked at syncing checklist dates to calendar at all? Yes, so that's something that we have in our backlog, Sonia. Unfortunately, it's not that simple to create this feature, but it's a workaround that you can do. Like you can use rules to tell Placker if you want to do this for every child card or if you want to use this based on a rule. And I agree that this would result in a lot of child cards being created, and that might pollute your boards a bit. So what I could recommend, if you don't want all the child cards to be created in the board where you have your main work, you could instead create those child cards in another board, right? So I could create child cards in Trello B, for example, and not have them showing up in the same board. So you are right that we need to use this as a workaround to mirror the checklist items. But if you are concerned about polluting your board and having a lot of child cards there, I would recommend using this in a separate board. So there's another question. A lot of cards from Placker come up not in the main body of the calendar, but at the top as all-day events. What causes that? So, Sonia, probably that is related to cards that have only a due date and not a start date. Okay, so if you don't have a start date, if you have only a due date, it will show up as a full day event. So the new meeting doesn't have a start time, then it's going to show as a full day event. Okay, so if that's happening, I would recommend to make sure that you add a start date and a start time to the cards, so that you see them exactly in a specific time slot. Okay. Well, let me know if you have any other questions. Otherwise, thanks a lot for the feedback. And by the way, it's very good for us to know how it works for you. For example, that it wouldn't be important to have um, events created by from checklist items and not only from cards, or if you like to create other filters for creating events. It's very valuable for us and for our team to learn what would be most useful for you. And if you, by the way, if you want to have other integrations from Trello and from Placker, like if you want to integrate with, I don't know, Outlook, or if you want to integrate Slack or any other tool, please send a message to us. If you're in this help center or if you are in the Placker interface, you have the button here at the lower right corner to message us and to let us know. And I will make sure um, to tell the team about the most important features for you. And yeah, I don't think we have other questions today. So please be tuned. We are going to create a new webinar in the next week or the other, which will be about custom attributes, which is also a very interesting feature. So if you're not using the custom fields from from Trello, and you want to have your customized information here, you can use custom attributes for that, and it can bring a lot of input to your boards. Okay. Question from Jason. Is there a quick way to create board copies with all the cards placed in the to-do column? I plan to roll forward all my boards for the next year dates. Is there a quick way to create a board that copies all the cards in the to-do column? Jason, if we are talking about copying the whole board, then you could do this in Trello. So you can click the menu and duplicate the board. So copy board, it will copy all the cards. If you are using Placker information here, Placker data like start time, for example, like Placker dependencies, like Placker rules, then I would recommend, instead of doing the copy in Trello, I would recommend creating a copy in Placker, or you can set a board as a template and creating a copy from that template in Placker and then export it to Trello, okay? And by the way, our latest webinar was exactly about that, about copying boards and using templates. So if you go to youtube.com/placker, you can see the recording. It's a quick webinar where I show you how to use templates and what are some options to copy the board. When copying the whole board, the cards that are in the done column, then I need to go and move them back to the to-do column. Well, usually if you create a copy of that board, uh, yeah, so I'm creating a copy of that board. Usually it's going to be the same lists and the same cards. Okay, so I'm not sure what you mean, Jason. But if you want to schedule a meeting to look into specifically into your case, please send me a message in the chat and we can arrange that. Okay. So now, any webinars on parent cards? Not specifically on parent cards, Sonia, but in the webinar that we had about card mirroring, I talk a lot about parent cards because a parent and a child card is actually a mirror between a checklist item and a card. So so if you check the card mirroring webinar, we talk about that. And we are planning to have another new session of the card mirroring webinar in September or in October. And you said checklist data integration was in your workload planning. Is there any ETA on this? No, for now, we are not working specifically on integrating the checklists with the calendars. So I don't have an estimated date to release this, but we have received this as a feedback from other users. So I'm not sure how complex this will be, but yeah, eventually, depending on the priorities of our development team, I hope they make it available because I agree that this would be a very nice feature to have. Okay. Well, I think this is it. Let me know if there's anything else. Otherwise, I hope to see you in the next webinar or in our next meeting. Please let me know if you have any comments, any feedback. And thanks again for joining today. And I hope to see you on the next webinar. Okay? So have a good week, everyone. If you need any help, let us know. and I will see you later. So have a good day. Bye bye.